And so the things that rock our boat are the great sea monsters. And how did we represent them in the garden? All that we could think of was koi fish. And so the koi fish and the koi pond are symbols of the great sea monsters. And we can't do this tonight because the stairs are wrapped off because there's some difficulty going on in the koi pond. But in order to see the beauty that exists in those moments of your boat getting rocked in the ocean of the great sea monsters, you have to go higher. You can't see it from the garden path. You have to go higher. You have to go to an elevated place in awareness. If you get into shaming and blaming and fighting and battling and I'm right and you're wrong, you're never going to get there. This is still duality, but you're being offered a choice to go beyond into the realms of love without an opposite. So Site 5 is still in the first tier of consciousness. Interestingly, it's in the spiral and in integral, it's green. And I love what Ken Wilber says about green, where everybody's equal, unless you think that I'm not. The mean green meme can be very mean. Have you known people that, and yet the green meme can be very, very beautiful. This is where a lot of New Age energy is. And New Age and New Thought are very different, and they have to keep differentiating themselves, not to get lost in it. New Thought transcends and includes. So it's very, the New Age is different. And although a New Age is coming, so that's part of the complexity. And so we're moving out of the Piscean age into the Aquarian age. And that's a new age. So interesting as we get into the complexity of understanding cosmology. And now we enter the union of heaven and earth. And this is Site 6 in the gardens. It's the beautiful site that my son Bud did the stained glass piece for. And I had no idea as he was creating that beautiful stained glass piece that within 6 months after it was mounted and complete in that beautiful white arbor that was designed to look like a sanctuary, that he himself would pass through the veils. On the 21st day of June, when the veils between heaven and earth are most, are clearest. Very, very fascinating. It's like the mystic passageway, in a sense, because of they're easier. And this is our garden site, Site 6. You can tell it's not as many plants as there are now. It was just new at that point. And then we have other pictures of it that are just beautiful. And this is the symbol that now is going around the world. In every email that goes out for Called by Love, this is the logo. It's the logo on my cards that Karina created. Oh, so beautiful. I love those cards. And every time I hand one to someone, they go, oh. And as I hear them do that, it's the breath. Do you hear that? It's the I am. It's the breath of that awe. And so just an amazing symbol. And then right across from it, the bench was actually done by a stonemason in Germany. and he was an old man and retired here in Orange County. He happened to know Martin Rippons, and Martin knew about his skills as a stonemason, and asked him if he would come and help us. And he said yes, and he also passed through the veils just in the same time frame that Bud did. So it's very, very fascinating to me that these two beings of light were here for the completion of this site as their gift to all of us. And then they left us with a legacy that includes Site 6 and the meditation of gardens, the union of heaven and earth. And in that union of heaven and earth, we have the union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within each of us. The divine masculine within me in union with the divine feminine with me. The active and the receptive within me in union. And it's no longer a battle of the two worlds. It's a moving in and out of that energy of the quiet, the receptivity, and the action. It's not unbalanced any longer. And when we reach that level of integration, we have actually accessed the ability to attract to us everything that we need as we move forward in our journey. And if part of your journey includes the attracting to you of a soulmate, I see an example of that sitting here. You knew each other for your lifetime almost. You knew each other in high school. And yet you had done your own journey in your years subsequent to this stage. And all of a sudden, as you went through the site of Our Lady of Guadalupe and made choices and found each other again, found that attracting vibration that brought you back together. So if that's part of your soul journey, what you can know is that will happen if you stay aligned. If you go out looking in all of the 100,000 ways that you could go look, you'll probably be attracting somebody that may not be a match to your soul vibration. So just an interesting piece of that particular site, the mystical marriage. Fabian and I are going up to, next week we're going to be gone, and we're going to the Mystical Marriage Retreat with Andrew Harvey at the Ions Retreat Center. And I'm so looking forward to that. And then we go off the path for a period of time into what's known as the Cave of the Heart in the realms of the mystics. And the Cave of the Heart is where the third eye begins to open, and you begin to see past, present, and future simultaneously. You begin to see through the veils of the worlds of time. And even though you see yourself and know yourself as living in this reality and time, in this world, you also have access to knowing of other worlds. And so it doesn't always come to you in the way that your rational mind thinks, because this is not accessible to the human mind. This only comes through you, through higher mind. And this is when the line between your human mind and even your accessing the witness state, which you've now begun to do more and more and more, especially at Site 6, now it begins to move into its own union, where you don't find yourself wobbling out of alignment. I mean, it's like you stay pretty clear. I still find that occasionally I get hit with something that surprises me, and I find myself wobbling out of alignment for a bit, and even sometimes feeling a bit frozen if it's something that I totally don't understand. And I had this happen recently, and interestingly, as I was in that experience of feeling literally frozen my heart and my mind, and I haven't had this kind of experience for a long time, so I couldn't, it was very strange to me. And at night I had a dream, and my son came to me in the dream and gave me the whole answer. It's amazing how, this is why in Called by Love on Friday nights, we've made a commitment to teaching people how to do dream work, because dreams are one of the primary ways that higher mind can come to you, and because your human mind is asleep. And you get so busy with your human mind, you don't pay attention to higher mind trying to get your attention. So one of the things I see for Called by Love Institute is that there will be a Department of Dream Work, and David Jonathan will be the faculty member in charge of that. But that's the call tomorrow. So the cave of the heart, seeing past, present, and future as one, being able to access all of it, and you can look in different directions and perceive sorrow. The olive trees are there as they were in the Garden of Gethsemane, and you can feel how your heart can experience the awareness of the sorrow. So it doesn't mean you're never sad again. I felt great sadness as I was going through this recent experience, where I moved into feeling frozen. The thing that preceded it was feelings of great, great, great sadness. And the olive trees in our garden represent that. And then the other thing, if you look in the other direction, back toward the path, you can see the panels of realized beings. And this is the first verses of the second chapter of Genesis, where it said, and God, on the seventh day God rested. You are experiencing the state of realization, and you are resting in the realization of God and of the light. You're resting in the realized state of consciousness. You haven't walked back onto the path yet, but you will. And this is part of your journey back from the mountaintop, back into the world with gift-bestowing hands. It's the Great Commission of Jesus, where Jesus said, I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. And so in the center is Jesus with outstretched arms, not Jesus on the cross. Jesus with the outstretched arms of invitation. On one side of that is the Star of David, representing Judaism. On the other side is the symbol for the word Allah, which in our Sufi teachers here, Khan and Aisha Erdal, said, you can't use that symbol that includes the sickle, because that's divisive in the Arab world. And I said, well, what will we use then? And they said, oh, the word Allah. That's not divisive. It's kind of like love is not divisive. And so we used the word Allah, and we had it all carefully carved and installed. And there came the day that we were dedicating the site, and came up to me and said, you got it in backwards. So sometimes, even though we have the word right, we get it in backwards. And we changed it. So we still find moments when we need to correct, do in-course corrections as we come into higher levels of learning from master teachers who may be beyond our understanding. And then we have on either side of that, we have the dancing Shiva, and then on the other side we have an image of Buddha, and then a Native American totem pole, and we have the open-ended circle, and that represents all religions and spiritual paths unnamed, past, present, and future.